For years, fans were told to accept the impossible as final. Ty Borden was gone, not away, not lost, gone. And yet, Heartland Season 20 opens with a strange emotional tension, the kind that crawls under your skin and refuses to explain itself. Nothing loud, nothing dramatic, just a feeling that the past is standing right behind the present, breathing quietly. Amy moves through her day like she always does, strong, capable, composed. But something is off. Her smiles don't last long. Her eyes linger a second too much. And suddenly, the silence that once meant grief starts to feel like anticipation. Funny how Heartland does that, right? It doesn't shout its twists. It whispers them until you realize your heart already knows the truth. Because here's the thing no one wants to say out loud. Heartland has never let Ty go. His name stopped being spoken, but his presence never disappeared. Every choice Amy made, every quiet moment with Lindy, every look toward the horizon carried Ty's shadow. Fans felt it too. That unfinished feeling, that ache that never quite healed. And season 20 doesn't pretend otherwise. Instead of rushing into shock value, it lets the weight of memory do the work. The ranch looks the same, but it doesn't feel the same. It's like the land itself remembers, like it's been waiting. Then comes the moment that changes everything. Not with fireworks, not with music telling you how to feel, but with stillness. The kind that makes your chest tighten. Amy freezes. Not dramatically. Just enough to tell you her heart recognized something before her mind dared to. And when she turns, that's when reality bends. Because the man standing there isn't a memory. He isn't a dream. He isn't grief playing tricks. It's Ty, alive, real, watching her with the same familiar calm that once meant home. Years of pain collapse into seconds. Amy doesn't run. She doesn't speak. She breaks in the quietest way possible. Tears filling eyes that worked so hard not to cry anymore. Isn't that the cruel part? You can survive loss, but how do you survive the return? And just when the moment couldn't hurt more, Lindy steps forward. She doesn't understand the history. She doesn't know the tragedy. She only feels something pull her closer. A connection without explanation. A comfort without memory. She looks at Ty like she's known him forever. And maybe she has, in ways that matter most. That's when it hits. This isn't just Amy's miracle. This is Lindy's truth finally finding a face. A father she never got to meet. Or did she? So now, the real question isn't how Ty is back. It's whether Amy is ready to lose him all over again, or brave enough to believe this isn't goodbye this time. Ty's return doesn't explode into celebration. That's the first shock. No one screams. No one rushes forward like this is some fairy tale ending. Instead, the ranch holds its breath, because everyone there understands one brutal truth. Love doesn't reset just because someone comes back. Years happen, pain happen. And Amy? She's not the same woman Ty left behind. She learned how to survive without him, how to wake up every day with grief sitting quietly beside her. So when she finally speaks, her voice doesn't shake from weakness. It shakes from restraint, from everything she swallowed for years just to keep going. And Ty notices. Of course he does. He looks at her like he's reading a story he once knew by heart. But the pages have changed. Amy's strength is different now. Sharper, sadder, earned the hard way. And that realization hits harder than any anger ever could. Because what do you say to someone who became strong because you were gone? What apology is big enough for that? The family's reactions only deepen the tension. Jack watches from a distance, saying nothing, because Jack understands that some moments are sacred. His silence isn't cold, it's respectful. He's seen enough life to know that love doesn't need permission to return. It just does. When he finally meets Ty's eyes, there's no interrogation, just quiet acceptance, almost like he knew this day would come, even when no one else believed it could. Lou, on the other hand, isn't ready to surrender to emotion. And honestly, who could blame her? She remembers the nights Amy fell apart when no one was watching. She remembers Lindy growing up with questions that never had answers. So Lou's smile is cautious, measured. She studies Ty like someone inspecting a wound that healed but never stopped hurting. Is this real? Or is Heartland about to relive its worst nightmare all over again? And then there's Tim, hiding behind jokes, pretending this is no big deal, acting like he hasn't replayed Amy's pain 1,000 times in his head. But his eyes give him away. Because seeing Ty alive doesn't just bring relief, it brings rage at fate, gratitude for mercy, and fear of hope all at once. Tim knows hope is dangerous, especially when it's attached to a man who once left the deepest scar of all. But nothing hits harder than Lindy. She doesn't overthink it. She doesn't hesitate. She steps closer to Ty like her heart already knows where it belongs. No memories, no explanations, just instinct. And in that moment, Ty isn't a miracle or a mystery. He's family. Watching Amy see that connection unfold is both beautiful and terrifying because it forces her to face the one question she's avoided since the second Ty disappeared. Is love still safe when it's already broken you once? And if Ty is truly back for good, what truth is he still hiding that could shatter everything all over again? The moment everyone else leaves the room is the moment the weight finally drops. No ranch noise, no family voices, just Amy and Ty standing in the space where words feel too small. This isn't a reunion scene, it's a reckoning. Amy doesn't rush into his arms, and Ty doesn't reach for her. They stand there like two people afraid that one wrong move might wake them from something fragile. And honestly, can you blame them? Years of grief don't disappear just because the impossible walks back through the door. Amy is the first to speak, and when she does, it's not anger that comes out, it's truth. She talks about the silence, the nights that felt endless, the way she had to learn how to be both mother and father for Lindy without ever letting the cracks show. She doesn't accuse Ty. She doesn't scream. She just tells him what it cost her to keep living, and that hurts more than any fight ever could. Because Ty isn't hearing blame, he's hearing consequence. Ty listens, really listens. No interruptions, no excuses. And when he finally speaks, his voice isn't heroic or dramatic. It's heavy, regret-filled. He admits the one thing Amy never allowed herself to hope for, that he never stopped loving her, not for a second. That every moment away was filled with her presence, even when he wasn't there physically. But love, as Heartland reminds us, doesn't erase damage. It coexists with it, and Ty knows it. He knows coming back doesn't make him the man Amy lost. It makes him a stranger asking for space in a life that learned how to function without him. And that's where the tension tightens, because Amy feels it too. The love rushes back instantly, warm and familiar, but fear follows close behind. Fear of dependence. Fear of undoing everything she built alone. Fear that believing again might destroy her if history repeats itself. She looks at Ty like someone staring at a door she once slammed shut just to survive. Opening it again could mean healing or devastation. Meanwhile, outside that room, the family senses the shift. Jack watches the sky like he's done his whole life, knowing storms don't always announce themselves. Lou waits, restless, protective, already preparing for fallout. Tim pretends not to care, but he's counting every second because he knows Amy's heart is standing on a knife's edge. And Lindy is smiling, innocent, hopeful, unaware that grown-up love is never simple, and that sometimes miracles come with conditions. When Amy and Ty finally step back into the world, nothing is resolved. No promises, no reunions. Just something dangerous and powerful hanging in the air. Possibility. And Heartland knows exactly what it's doing by leaving it there. Because the hardest part isn't Ty coming back. It's deciding whether this return is the beginning of healing or the calm before the most painful goodbye of all. By the time the day begins to fade at the ranch, one thing is painfully clear. Ty's return didn't close a chapter. It ripped it back open. Every look, Every pause, every unspoken word carries more weight than any dramatic confession ever could. Amy moves through the house like someone learning a familiar space all over again. Nothing has changed, and yet everything has. Because knowing Ty is alive doesn't erase the years she spent convincing herself he was gone forever. It forces her to revisit every choice she made in survival mode, and survival doesn't leave much room for hope. Lindy, however, feels none of that fear. She sits beside Ty without hesitation, asking simple questions, offering quiet smiles. To her, he isn't a ghost from the past. He's a presence that feels right, and that's what shatters Amy the most. Watching her daughter connect so naturally with the man she once loved feels both beautiful and terrifying. Because if Lindy accepts Ty fully, then Amy can no longer pretend this is just a moment. This is a future trying to take shape, and futures demand decisions. Jack sees it too. He's lived long enough to recognize when life offers a second chance disguised as uncertainty. His advice, when it comes, is gentle but heavy with meaning. He doesn't tell Amy what to do. He reminds her that love isn't about avoiding pain, it's about choosing what's worth risking it for. Lou listens quietly, still torn between protecting her sister and respecting her heart. Even Tim softens, realizing that control isn't possible here. Some things can't be fixed or guarded, they have to be faced. And Ty, he doesn't ask for forgiveness, he doesn't demand space in Amy's life. He waits, patient, aware that waiting might be the price of coming back too late. His restraint says more than any promise ever could, because this isn't about reclaiming the past. It's about whether the present has room for something that once meant everything. As night falls, Amy stands alone for a moment, watching Lindy laugh in a way she hasn't seen in years. Hope flickers, dangerous, fragile, undeniable. And that's when the truth finally settles in. Ty's return isn't the miracle. The miracle is choice. The choice to believe again, to risk loving again, to accept that some stories don't end when we think they do. So now the question Heartland leaves us with is the one that hurts the most. Was Ty's return meant to heal old wounds or reopen them just enough to remind us that some love stories never truly let go?